Tere, mambo ni mawili, kufikisha, kumwaga na kurudi. Kulala ni mwaka mpya.
Bua muka we mse. Nini mbaya? Wewe kwani wani vile dereva anaendesha gari vibaya? Lazima tususe. Anaendesha gari na kwa simu the whole time hata angalia barabara. Wewe dereva wewe, mwaka iliyopita peke yake watu zaidi ya 1000 walipoteza maisha yao barabarani kwa sababu ya tabia kama hizo. Hautatuangamiza tukiona.
Naomba msamaha, nitampeleka vizuri.
Si wameomba msamaha. Sasa tuende tusafiri kwa mwendo wa aste.
Dere Smart hufikisha abiria salama. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na NTSA kwa ushirikiano na European Union.
Area in that Nadco report, which is the auditing of the 2022 results, that is the poll results. For now, it is just for us to weigh in on exactly what they're going to say, because the question around that particular area is to what extent is it going to be a qualitative analysis without the ramifications, or is it going to be a quantitative analysis, which essentially, again, is going to take us back to where we were, who won that election. Online and Lookuptv across all the social media platforms. I am Kiage Simba. Take a breather, come back, and take you straight to your newspapers this morning. Let's then look at your dailies this morning, and we're going to start with the Daily Nation. There's a big story here that you really have to know in terms of what the housing, or should I say the Finance Bill 2023 that is still taking effect. There's no more reprieve over housing pay cuts. Senators yesterday, yet again, threw Kenyans under the bus after they shot down proposals that sought to cap housing levy deductions at just 2,500 shillings, as well as peg the amount to be paid at 1.5% of an employee's net salary. This means workers and employers resume paying high rates when the bill becomes low. So it's not really pegged at 2,500 shillings. It says the higher you earn, the more you contribute. It's just pegged on 1.5% of your gross income. So no reprieve on that end then. Some of public employees would contribute upwards of 75,000 shillings, depending on what it is that you take home. All right, you're going to read that story on page 7. There's a story here on pages 4 and 5. Mdavadi, why we settled on Raila for the AU job, pages 4 and 5. There's a story here on Kenya halting Haiti police deployment after Henry, was the PM, resigned. Latest development derails plan, said, or this is according to the PS Interior. Indeed, when you look at this particular story, it puts Kenyans in the middle of a deal that is neither here nor there, because the deal that you signed, or the person that you signed that deal with, is no longer in office. And the reason why you signed that deal is to allow for elections in our country. So if you send your troops, under what framework are you going to send them now? To do what? Because essentially they wanted them out so they can do that particular election. You're going to read that story on page 2. There's a story here that you're going to read as well. Officials' cash and property frozen in a corruption probe. That story has been covered on page 6. Amount in cash, detectives found on one Mr. Nyakundi during a raid on his home. 4.6 million in cash, 17 vehicles, some of them high-end, that are owned by Mr. Nyakundi. There's also 106 parcels of land in various parts of the country owned by the Lands Registrar. We're going to read that story on page 6, and this is man who's been inducted is one Mr. Felix Mecha Nyakundi. This has been frozen for 6 months to allow investigations. All right, you're going to read that story on page 6 this morning. And there's a story here on Victor Hurricane in 7 days. Police have been told. We're going to read that story on pages 8. There's a land saga. It's a 443-acre piece of land in Thika, a task that its predecessors have been unable to accomplish for a decade, essentially. One Mr. Michael Mushiri has 7 days to evict a company owned by Gatundu Member of Parliament, Ngeji Muigai. Was essentially Uhuru Kenyatta's kin, isn't it? Good. All right. We cross over to the Standard this morning, and indeed, going to look at exactly what top stories that we have on the Standard this morning, so we can actually get to pass over them. If you can, the top story on the Standard this morning is on a RUTO walking a tight rope on Haiti mission. The US has pledged more than 41 billion shillings for Kenya to deploy officers to the war-torn country, but evacuated its citizens on the same time. RUTO says it is a service to humanity, but the price could be too high for the police. That story has been covered on page 6. And if we look at this particular quote here, the cry by our brothers and sisters who were the first people to win the struggle for freedom from colonial tyranny has reached our ears and touched our hearts. Good. Today, Joey Irungu, in the footsteps of a murderer, is going to know his fate as a particular case comes to what is can be called a clause on Joey's end, because the DPP then did say is going to appeal that particular ruling that exonerated one Jackie Maribe from it. We're going to put that story on page 2. On page 4, health access for all divers as crisis rooms. You're going to read that story on page 4. And also a story here on leaders shuddering as a thought of party elections. Nobody knows the fate of the UDA elections. Well, news reaching the newsroom is that there isn't much that is going on the ground in as much as this particular issue is concerned. And we touch on it this morning as well on a big conversation. There's also a story here on counties to get 50 billion shillings less revenue, not what they've been demanding for. It's a spanner in the wheel right there on page 5 of the Standard this morning. You see what is missing here on sports. If you're waking up this morning, then Arsenal has essentially, for the first time in 14 years, proceeded to the quarterfinals of the Champions League yesterday evening. A stellar performance at the Emirates Stadium that essentially saw Arsenal win 1-0, bringing the total scoreline to 1-0, but went to penalties and won 5-2 on aggregate. Congratulations to Arsenal. Now we need Bayern Munich, not any other lesser team, because we do know when we're going to step out. We said last semi is not anything less than that. Well, Napoli's out. Barcelona proceeds. Maybe we need Barcelona. Who knows? Yeah. Congratulations again to Arsenal. I mean, we're the big boys. So, and we're outside. I'm going to take a tiny breather. Come from outside as Arsenal big boys. Come back to the newsroom then. And I'm going to show you exactly what it is that you're waking up to this morning in terms of our big stories this morning. This is the Morning Drift. All right, welcome back. West Pokot County has commander scrutiny following an auditor's general's report revealing mismanagement of funds in the financial year 2020-2021. Appearing before the Parliamentary County Public Accounts Committee, the West Pokot County executive had a difficult time explaining stalled projects despite receiving full funding, as Faith Charles now reports.
A report by the Auditor General revealing discrepancies in financial statement of West Pokot County in the year 2020-2021 was today tabled before the County Public Accounts Committee led by Moses Kajwang. The report detailing a large number of West Pokot's projects that were intended to develop the county and its residents remain incomplete even after the government fully catered for its expenses.
But in real sense, imekuwa zizi la ng'ombe. And that is why when you tell us this building is complete, awaiting commissioning, value for money is only achieved when patients can come and find services there. So we still agree with the Auditor General that there is no value for money, even though the building could have been complete. Value for money from a dispensary is when it can dispense medical services. So, Governor, you need to make sure that Propoi, Tapach, and the ICU, I think they are the same issue around value for money. It is not just about saying nimemaliza kujenga. Value for money is when it can serve the citizens of West Pokot.
Governor Kachapin on his part called for patience of the committee, asking for 2 months to complete some projects, including intensive patient unit, which he claimed is the only purchase of equipment remaining among other projects.
On behalf of my team, I want to thank you and your committee for giving us this time to respond to the issues raised by the Office of the Auditor General. And I want to assure the committee that all the advices given and direction given, my administration is going to work on them and follow the procedures and follow the law. Faye Charles, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
Faye Charles with that story. Kibabii University and Rongo University have partnered with our African Library project to revive a book reading culture in the country. This comes as our stakeholders call for improved communication skills and enhanced vocabulary. Ebi Kandenyi with that story.
With a rising concern over poor communication skills within the general public attributed to a poor reading culture, Kibabii University and Rongo University, in collaboration with the African Library Project, have opened libraries in different schools to encourage students to improve their vocabulary and communicate effectively.
So far, actually, as a school and as a community, we've really benefited, and the community and even the learners have really improved in the literary skills which they didn't have initially.
And basically what we are doing here is to partner with the African Library Project in Rongo University to inculcate a culture of reading to the students, as well as improve literacy levels.
Speaking in Maliki Boys Secondary School in Bungoma County, education stakeholders revealed that there is still a huge gap in the education sector, as a good number of Kenyans are illiterate. Chris Bradshaw, founder of African Library, noted that the foundation has built 38 libraries in Bungoma County and 4,000 libraries around Africa to bridge the gap.
Now it is 20 years later, and we have, with the help of our partners all over Africa and all of our volunteers in the United States, we have started 4,000 libraries in 13 different countries.
According to Professor Muganda Munyo, a lecturer at Kibabii University, the partnership with ALP has seen 20 schools in Bungoma benefit from the program started to help Kenyans adapt the reading culture.
We were able to come into this project in 2019, and through our partners with ALP, we have been able to reach out to a number of schools. So far, around 41 institutions have benefited from this program, 38 of them being schools and of course community libraries. Around 70,000 books have been distributed through this project over the last 2 years. And also we have trained over 61 school librarians through this project.
Ebi Kandenyi, Lookuptv.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has affirmed that measures announced by the government last week on illicit brew and narcotic drugs are irreversible and non-negotiable. While meeting licensed alcohol manufacturers in Nairobi, Kindiki said the policy and operational guidelines are not a declaration of war with the businesses, but are meant to tackle the menace of poisonous and toxic substances, as Shamila Baraza now reports.
As the government tightens the ropes in the war on illicit beer and narcotic drugs, Interior CS Kithure Kindiki has affirmed his ministry's commitment in implementing the 25-point policy and operational guidelines meant to conclusively deal with the menace of poisonous and toxic substances, destroying lives and hurting the future of the country.
For the meeting this morning of all manufacturers and people involved in the manufacture and the distillation of second-generation alcoholic drinks in the country, whose licenses stand suspended. That suspension is for 21 days, beginning 6th March 2024. It will come to an end on 27th of March 2024.
Kindiki say the measures must be implemented, adding that they have recorded great success as police officers from various counties have closed all illegal bars and those near residential areas, as well as destroying all areas where illicit brew are manufactured.
So far, we've registered huge successes across the country because part of the measures we also announced as government on that day was the closure of all unlicensed premises.
Kindiki has also lauded police officers from all the 47 counties as well as agencies that are involved in fighting illegal alcohol for their endless efforts to eradicate illicit brew, adding that his ministry has taken an initiative to visit each county to review how measures are being implemented, noting that they have already been to 10 counties.
I want to take this opportunity to thank all the 47 county security and intelligence teams, together with the other agencies who have been co-opted in this national effort. And we are going around the country supervising. So far, we've gone around about 11 or 10 counties, and the response is very good. We'll be going to the rest of the counties in the coming days.
Shamila Baraza, Lookuptv.
The Parliamentary Committee on Security is set to hold a 2-day joint session with the national government security agencies to tackle the dire security situation in 6 volatile counties where livestock and banditry attacks have been on the rise. Stanley Lugaria files that report.
With the growing insecurity in the volatile northern regions, the National Assembly is set to embark on a joint session with the national government security to finally put to rest the constant killings and livestock theft.
And if we do that jointly, even like having we can start with even maybe a press conference at Parliament building for all the 6 the members of the 6 counties, and then go to the field jointly. I am sure we are going to have very positive impact in that.
Committee members have registered their disappointment in the measures put in place, led by Interior CS Kithure Kindiki, saying that the efforts the government has put in place has not yet yielded tangible results, saying the exercise has led to fatalities.
How shall we get lasting peace? I don't have conflict internal. My conflict is external. My constituency borders South Sudan and Uganda. And there is conflict. It is raining in Lokichogio area this time round. Today, the other day, it was raining. My colleagues from across South Sudan have decided to come and camp in Kenya with guns. Not just simple guns, these AKs that you see. Machine guns and grenades.
It is my prayer that one day, one time, in the Northern Rift and the whole country, we shall be peaceful.
The committee has met with members of parliament from 6 crucial counties of Laikipia, Samburu, West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet, Baringo and Turkana.
From where I come from, the main factor is pasture and water. And the pastoralists just move from one point to another. And why are they moving? They are moving looking for these resources, pasture and what. That is what drives them. And where they end up, they find that we have people there, and if they don't use the correct approach, then a conflict will ensue.
We want respect. Even a CC, County Commissioner, is a junior to Member of Parliament. So we want to say for peace to be there. We want respect to be given to Members of Parliament, and in our next meeting, let the security commanders appear here so that we tell them whatever we want, and And if they do, then we'll be peaceful.
The Tuesday session comes as the Interior CS Kindiki continues to put up a spirited fight against banditry, very recently classifying banditry in the same category as terrorism.
These timed meetings will not give you solutions. Some of these members seated here have deep-seated hatred for each other. You think you are going to bring that out in a meeting that is going to take 1 hour? Because the hatred comes from the killings, disposition of people.
Stanley Lugaria, Lookuptv.
So we're in Kenya. 2 things or 3 things are happening this morning that you really have to pay keen attention to. The Senate has not capped the amount of money to be deducted on your housing levy contributions to just 2,500 shillings. It is just a 1.5%. So the more you earn, the more you contribute, as it currently is on that particular agenda for affordable housing. Could put that on the side, so you do know then. But once it becomes law, you're going to contribute more, as the way it is. 1. Number 2, there's an expected paralysis of health services in the country as from tomorrow. Doctors in the country are making it clear to the government, if you say you don't have that 142 billion to pay the interns who make 30% of the workforce in the country, then we are out. But the government is saying we don't have that money. Number 3, which is more important, the deliberations of the Nadco report. One particular element is taking effect and quicker that they're already discussing the IEBC report or the proposals within our Nadco report, which are going to inform how the panel that is supposed to give us IEBC commissioners is going to be put together. But now, there is another one that is taking effect, which they agreed on, the audit of the 2022 general elections. Questions I'm asking here this morning is, since you're putting in a new IEBC, that you've agreed on its reconstitution, since you have a democratically, constitutionally elected president, is it a waste of time to do an audit that is not going to give you anything or change the outcome? To what extent? Why are you doing the audit? Talk to us at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms this morning. We do expect to be joined by Douglas Shiuka, who's the national chairman, Kenya Kwanza Lobby Groups. Going to be talking to us about what is going on in the party. Seems like no preparations are currently ongoing for the April primary elections. We're going to be talking about that also this morning. We're joined by Njoroge Kibiro, who's an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Those 2 gentlemen already in the studio. And also, we'll be joined shortly by Thiongo Mwiruri, who's the founder Gilgil Youth Forum. This morning, we talk about the Nadco report. It's taking effect. Why audit the 2022 general elections? What we want to see. Once we come back right here on the Morning Drift, my name is Simba Kiage. Start tweeting the hashtag is the Morning Drift. The question that we're asking this morning, is it ever necessary to audit the 2022 general elections? Once we come back.
There is a biblical quotation that says, whoever gives to an orphan lends to God. Today was a great day for us. We have received and hosted a wonderful and great team from Tatua Tatu who have come to make a day brighter for these kids and for our beneficiaries.
I thank you, Tatua number 3, for coming. May God bless you, and the gates of Rafiki are ever open, and you are welcome and welcome again.
Are you a junior secondary school, a college, a TVET institution or a university and you want to advertise your intake? Book now and advertise with us today on both Lookuptv and all our digital platforms. Call us today. Or email us on sales@lookuptv.co.ke. Open University of Kenya, which was chartered on the 3rd of August 2023, aims to revolutionize higher education by breaking down barriers such as cost, previous exam grades and geographical location through online open learning at the comfort of your home, job, etc., thus ensuring accessibility to education for all members of the society. In a nutshell, Open University of Kenya leverages technology to deliver education.
Open University has brought a new dawn in the Kenya education system, where learners are able to access education in a flexible, affordable, and all-inclusive.
Intakes ongoing for May and September. For more information, call us on 0202000211 or 0202000212 or email us at info@ouk.ac.ke. Open University of Kenya, an innovative university for inclusive prosperity.
Tere, mambo ni mawili, kufikisha, kumwaga na kurudi. Kulala ni mwaka mpya.
Bua muka we mse. Nini mbaya? Wewe kwani wani vile dereva anaendesha gari vibaya, lazima tususe. Anaendesha gari na kwa simu the whole time hata angalia barabara. Tusimame. Wewe dereva wewe. Mwaka iliyopita peke yake watu zaidi ya 3,000 walipoteza maisha yao barabarani kwa sababu ya tabia kama hizo. Hautatuangamiza tukiona.
Naomba msamaha, tutamtendeka vizuri.
Si wameomba msamaha. Sasa tuende tusafiri kwa mwendo wa aste.
Dere Smart hufikisha abiria salama. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na NTSA kwa ushirikiano na European Union.
Next on Ukulima ni Mali.
Leo sasa tunajifunza mambo kuhusu na mboga ambazo za kiasili.
We grow different types of salads,
salads,
herbs, and some of the fruits in the farm. When you use organic manure in the farm, it really gives a long-term solution for the soil as compared to the synthetic fertilizer. We have here the sage. It is a herb. It can also be used as herbal drinks. When you mix this, the lemongrass, the mints, and also the rosemaries, those are some of the herbs we do have in the farm.
Kuna watu waje kukula na hizi vitu. Usiende kuaibisha watu.
Ukulima ni mali.
Ukulima ni Mali, every Sunday at 4 p.m. Next on Tujenge Home.
Hi and welcome to Tujenge Home. We do the stainless steel work. Okay. That is mostly for the balconies, the aluminium windows. We also do the pangoras. Then we also do cabros. Nowadays we are even doing cabros. We are doing the landscaping. Then we are doing the shower cubicles. It wasn't easy because having to meet or to have a table or a sitting with men, they have to make sure mansplaining you. Exactly. Then they have to make you feel we are the men. We know what. I didn't know I can pull up a bar. Wow. exactly when you get inside the bar, what you see is what I did.
Wow.
Wake up. Ask yourself, what do you love doing most?
Tujenge Home every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m.
And Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. My name is Simba Kiage. Guess what? We have a lot to go through in the next couple of minutes, if not hours then. In fact, our plate is full this morning. And it's full because we do know that the Nadco report proposals are now fully being tabled in front of Parliament and the Senate House. But one house is already deeply engrossed into some sections of the Nadco report. Case in point, the proposals on IEBC, that the National House has to make sure that by this March we have a functional IEBC, because the Constitution essentially has some limits and delimitations. Talk about in our Nadco report. Emma Swako is back. It's going to be part of the team that the Azimio coalition has chosen to go back, get the servers opened, and we're talking about the back-end servers, so that that team can do an audit of the 2022 general elections, which is essentially a proposal within the Nadco report. And if you do remember, it was a contentious one. Two of them that the Kenya Kwanza side said they are as useless as they can get. Number one, discussing on the cost of living, and number two, the audit of the 2022 general elections. Good, they gotta do it. But the question I'm asking this morning then, to what end? To what end? Why are we doing the audit of the 2022 general elections? And that's how we start the discussion this morning then. Let me again introduce the gentlemen who are joining us this morning. We are joined this morning by Douglas Chiuka, who's the National Chairman, Kenya Kwanza Lobby Groups. Douglas, I'd like to start with you. Why are we doing the audit of the 2022 general elections?
Good morning, members. Thank you so much for having me on this show. I think it's important because the opposition, the Azimio coalition, did not accept the defeat. So they want to go to check the servers and prove if there is anything. But if you ask me, it's unnecessary, because already the water has already passed the bridge, and already the Nadco report is in. Let's build the nation and move forward.
I'm still looking at you.
Yes. To me, it is not necessary. It is not necessary for us to have that audit. It's time wasting. We are going to form commission. We are going to be paid. It's unnecessary. Already the president is sworn in. It is completely unnecessary. It's better we concentrate on the Nadco report, which is going to bring healing to the nation.
Yes.
Yes.
So why do it? You already agreed that you're going to do it.
But it is not necessary, because at the end of the day, you know, we should not encourage the culture of some people agreeing to take part in a democratic process and always disputing the results. If you agree to take part in a democratic process, be ready to take part, to accept the results. Because it is completely useless for you to be always saying, maybe they have been stolen, they have been stolen. It is completely useless. Let's have the culture of a democracy that I am ready to compete, and I know if I don't win, I'm going to lose. If I win, yes. If I lose, let me lose graciously. So let's develop that culture in this country.
Pretty much.
Yes, because this issue of saying let's go and audit and ABCD, it is taking the country back. Let's move on. When the election has been done and finished, let's move on to the next chapter. And I think the Nadco committee has done a good job, which can take this nation to the healing process and move to the next level.
Pretty much. I'll be coming to you because of an extension to that particular question. So what if they go in and do this audit of the 2022 general elections? There's no coalition said that we will show you how we won the election. But then we do know that all the constitutional processes in the country were followed for us to have the president of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Dr. President William RUTO. So what? So here we are doing an audit. We've come up with another commission that's going to get paid through taxpayers' money to do an audit of the 2022 general elections, but the end is as useless as it can be.
Thank you. I think for me, I disagree with my fellow presenter here on the basis that if you look at the elections we've had in Kenya, even considering the reports that have come before the Nadco report, for instance, the Kriegler report, majority of what has been commented on is that the dissatisfaction by the people on the outcome or on the process of these elections is what needs to be reviewed. And for me, I believe an audit is necessary in every election because what it shows, it gives us the pitfalls, the shortcomings of the previous election that we had. We are looking ahead to the 2027 election. We need to know, where did IBC go wrong? Where did civic education go wrong? Because these issues, once answered through an audit, will be able to help us as a country steer away from the political impasse and the disorder that comes with this election cycle every election year. And therefore the audit, the main purpose of the audit will not only be to enable azimio to access the 2022 files which they so wish to say that had been stolen or something had happened to them, but also be used as a yardstick for future elections and future engagements where citizens want to know this process that we're having, printing papers, the budget, the budgetary allocations that comes with all this election and the outcomes. How do we solve this? How do we solve pre-election disputes, post-election disputes, without having to take the country through that turmoil that we often see in this election years? Because a country that is peaceful is a country that has economic progress. And this stems from the election itself. So if you have a peaceful election where everyone agrees that yes, it was free and fair, the audit from the previous election showed IBC had failed or was good at this, and they have enhanced it in this election, then that's a good thing for the country. That's a good thing for the electorate as well. That's it. There's an extension to that. Njoroge, I'll be coming back to you because that's where majority of the questions now begin. Good morning, sir. How are you doing? Good morning, Simba. Yeah, karibu sana. Thank you very much. Why do we need to do an audit when currently as it is, we are reconstituting an IBC that we believe is going to give us a credible, free and fair election? We do already have a president who's sitting in the office. It's not like the country doesn't have a president who was constitutionally elected. Why focus on it? Why would the team agree that indeed we are going to do an audit? To what end?
I want to agree with my colleague here.
Yes.
My good friend here. Audits are very necessary. Anytime there's a discrepancy somewhere, not only in the political space, but even in the corporate affairs and in the work environment. And there's a question of integrity. Audits are very necessary. In the last election, there were quite a number of discrepancies in the IBC. We saw the division in the commission.
You're just going to give me a minute. I think they have to put on your mic this morning as we continue with the discussion. Good. Shiyuka, as we wait for Theo's mic to come back on, that's where the question now begins, isn't it? Good. That both sides, other bombers of Kenya, agreed that we're going to go into an audit. But from the beginning, we already do know what azimio want to get out of this audit. It's to prove to Kenyans who won the election. That's what they said. So if indeed they prove that they won the election, so what, Shiyuk?
I don't agree with the proposal of this committee of having an audit, an election audit. What is the reason of the audit. That's where my point of departure.
Yes, because
if the reason,
Azimio Coalition actually gave us the reason that they want to prove to us that they won the election.
That's a wrong reason, because that reason can ban this country. You know, that reason that we won the election. If you are sure that you won the election, then you can prove to the nation that you won the election. Why do you want to audit something that you know? Me, I think there is no election that is 100%. We have some shortcomings.
Yes.
But where I want to differ with the Azimio Coalition for this proposal of auditing the election is the reason why they want the audit. They are saying we won the election. When you say we won the election, what are you telling your supporters? That you should not support this government. And already the president and the government has already been sworn in. The members of the parliament, the Senate from the Azimio Coalition are already legitimately in the Senate, in parliament. They are doing their duties. Why can't they be honest enough and say this election was not free and fair, and therefore I'm legitimately elected and I'm resigning? Let them resign, all of them.
Yes.
Because the election was not legitimate.
Yes. But they also kept on saying that the president is illegitimately in office and they're going to prove that. And then towards the public national demos that were held by the Azimio Coalition, they kept on calling this government illegitimate. That they're going to prove that they won the election, that's why they want the servers open for them.
Doublespeak. What I'm saying doublespeak is, you cannot say the president is illegitimately elected and the senator and the member of parliament through the same process that was used to elect the president is legitimate. How are you going to convince me that the member of county assembly who was elected through the same process is legitimate? The member of parliament who was elected through the same process is legitimate. The member of the Senate who was elected through the same process is legitimate. Then the president of the Republic of Kenya who was elected in the same process is illegitimate. How can you convince me? I think this statement of going to the election is political. They are trying to massage the egos and the expectation of the people, of their supporters, that we are doing something. But to me, if you ask me, it is completely a waste of time, a waste of resources. People should accept that once I am going to participate in an election process that is democratic, then if I win, yes, and we have got two options. One, I'm either going to win, and two, I'm also going to lose. So let us be honest with ourselves and be gracious in participating in an election that is democratic.
Pretty much. Guess what, Njoroge, that's why it is now. I mean, you say that the things that Kenyans would wish to know, but the Azimio Coalition doesn't want to know that. I mean, they were clear from the get-go that here's the thing, we're going to prove to you that quantitatively, they don't care about the qualitative analysis of that election, that quantitatively we won the election. That's what they say, that we will show you that we had the numbers behind this particular election. And then the particular committee then allows them to go right ahead and give us that audit. What the Azimio Coalition are concerned with is the quantitative analysis of that particular 2022 election, not the qualitative analysis, not what the shortfalls were. They want to prove that we won the election to you. So why allow them give us that analysis, knowing very well that the Constitution stops us from effecting anything that comes from that audit, especially after following the Constitution up to where we are right now, having a president who spent 2 years in office?
Yes, thank you. And just as you said, the Constitution is the ground norm of all these issues.
Does that?
And it solves the question when it comes to the election dispute, and that's why we went to the Supreme Court that gave a verdict that one, the election had met the credibility threshold.
Does that?
Meaning that whoever became president was legitimate.
Good.
Okay? But now comes the question, when someone is dissatisfied, as the Azimio Coalition is in the moment, they are discontent on the outcomes of the elections that were held in 2022. The question that needs to be answered by the IEBC and the government as well in a whole is, what are they complaining about? Is it the process? Is it the tallying? Is it the tabulation of results? This is what the audit will be able to answer.
Yes.
And we are not saying that once an audit is done, that we will go back to election because X was found, Y was found, that is not in line with what Azimio is saying. Because if, for example, if an audit is to be carried out and they find that the elections were done free and fair, transparent and accountable, then will Azimio go back to court and say that they still have an issue with the audit? But the question we need to ask ourselves as citizens of Kenya is, we have been going through emotional elections over the years, and we need to identify a way that will help everyone be comfortable with elections, will steer the country forward even when it comes to the budgetary allocations, because this is still, resources being used from taxpayers. Carrying out an election is not an easy thing.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, we need to get those answers from the audit. We need to do that forensic audit to show that the systems worked well, and where they didn't work well, the manual system worked well, worked in favor of everyone. And that will, part and parcel, in the subsequent election that we are supposed to have as a country, will cool down the tempers and will promote economic growth.
Here's what we're saying, that we were not really complaining about the process of the election. I mean, you do remember, Joroge, prior to the election, we went through agreeing that indeed we had two registers, the digital register and the manual register. And we didn't have a problem with that. Even the party agents and the guys who were conducting this particular election said, yes, indeed, we are in the process of fully adopting that digital register, that in instances where it failed, we used the manual register. That nobody, even the Azimio coalition, did not complain about the process.
Yes.
Even when they were taken to court, they couldn't prove in court how a result that's getting transmitted from a polling station can be manipulated while it's still in transit to the national polling station. That be it. They are saying we won this election. It's about the quantitative analysis. And they said it before. Do you feel like we wasted time then, knowing very well that here we are, we've agreed that we're going to reconstitute the IEBC, done and dusted, that's why they had a problem with it. Then you turn around and still tell them, go audit an election. To what end? They didn't complain about the process, they complained about the outcome of the general election. It's the outcome, is that we didn't win, and we're going to show you that we won.
You see, at the end of the day, you can complain about the outcome. You can appeal, or you can take your issues to the Supreme Court that has the original jurisdiction to listen to election petitions, presidential election petitions. But have we answered the question of, this is a process that was not only done in 2022. It's going to be done subsequently in other years, 2027 and beyond.
Yes.
But as Kenyans, as the electorate, are we satisfied with the outcome and the process that was there? Are we satisfied with what came out of the report from the Kriegler Commission? Is it being implemented now? The Nadco has given a report. They've proposed that an audit be done, not to open up the servers for Azimio, but to ensure that there is progress in the process of our elections.
Yes, which was as a result of the Azimio coalition complaining that they did not win the election.
Yes.
And Joroge, let's pay tribute to the fact that they were actually asked to prove in court that some polling stations were open to them. All right? They were told, go back at it, prove to us that indeed whatever is in your report here, whatever is in your affidavit here, is essentially what you're saying, and they couldn't prove it. No wonder we got the famous name, hot hair. Like they could not substantiate it, isn't it? So here we are. Are we looking at this process based on the fact that it's the Azimio coalition that is complaining? Had they won, could have been here?
You see, at the end of the day, let's look at the objective of the National Dialogue Committee. And the main objective was, one, to address the cost of living, and two, to address the electoral disputes that normally arise as a result of these processes. And the essence of an audit at the end of the day is to ensure that, yes, we have a process. It might not be perfect, okay? But how are we enhancing that process for future generations? Because we're not going only to vote for UDA and ODM at the end of the day. There are going to be other parties, other people that want to be there, but they want an IEBC and a government that enhances this process, and part and parcel will make sure that the outcome is comfortable. And at the end of the day, elections is a very bitter game. It's a very bitter battle, because the one who loses feels like they didn't lose, justifiably. But that is what the audit will do. It will show you that 2022 was free and fair. So 2027, if you do the same thing, then it's free and fair.
Yes.
Yes.
Just before you come and share, this is what we're asking. That we go through these processes when one side has always felt aggrieved. Gentlemen, if you do remember, we were heavily complaining about IEBC. And it's Raila Amolo Odinga and his party that were heavily complaining about IEBC. Towards the 2020 general elections, we did see 4 new commissioners that were essentially appointed by IEBC. The majority of those commissioners were essentially appointed towards the tail end of that particular process when it was about just to begin. In their eyes, nobody complained about the state of IEBC prior to that election. Joroge, if you do remember, that the Azimio coalition felt everything was now set for the election. We've got new commissioners, the ones that we feel can carry over affairs in that particular office, and we're going to go in for proper election. The outcome of the election comes in, and the same coalition that appointed commissioners to that particular office are now saying, we're complaining about one man in that particular office who was Wafula Chebukati. In fact, they said he bungled the entire election, and they said, we're going to prove how we won that particular election. You sort of feel that had they won it, we couldn't have been here. We couldn't have had the Nadco report. We couldn't have been talking about the audit of the 2020 general elections. It could have been, guys, we saw it. We changed the commissioners. Now IEBC is functioning as it should. Are we here because Raila Amolo Odinga did not win the election?
Thank you very much, Simba. And as I was saying before I get to your question,
yes,
audits are very important, not only in the political space,
yes,
but also in the private sector, the public sector, and any business environment.
Yes.
It's very important to do audits. And audits arise as a result of the discrepancies that happen in any space. Any question, anytime there's a question of integrity, accountability, transparency, then that is when we do audits. In the last election, we had an issue with the IEBC. We saw the division in the commissioners. Part of the commission was inclined to one side, and the other part of the commission was inclined to the other side of the coalition.
Does it?
And this brought a lot of questions as to, was this 2022 election credible in the first place?
And they proved it in court. They were told, go to court, isn't it? Come with your evidence and show us why it was not credible.
We are talking about questions of discrepancies.
Yes.
We are doing audits to make sure that the future elections, the future IEBC is going to be transparent.
Yes.
As azimio, we hold the view that we won the election. And this is why we say so. Because how do you say that you won an election legitimately when we had 4 commissioners saying that they were not involved in decision making, that only one person
was
involved in decision making,
and so you are told, okay, let's talk about this. Then we went to the Bomas of Kenya. We said we have to decide who is in that selection panel, isn't it? And you're given that, and that process is already going on. So if it's an issue of IEBC, it's already getting solved, as it currently is, that those proposals were listened to from both sides, and they agreed. And if you do remember, the government said that if we can talk about anything, let's talk about IEBC. Because if that is where your questions are, we're going to talk about that, and they agreed to that, and quickly as that, which is getting discussed right now in the National Assembly. And this March, all systems go, we might have that new IEBC team that is going to conduct the elections in 2027. So why the audit again, if your issues were on the commissioners?
The audit is very necessary, like I've said, to ensure that the future outlook of the IEBC, the future operation of the IEBC, is going to be transparent. That we're not going to have a situation whereby we are announcing the elections of the president, and we have 4 commissioners coming out and saying, we were not in the decision-making process. We were not involved in the decision-making process. Even if it was you, Simba, as an aspirant, as a candidate, as a president candidate, you'd raise questions. It is not about whether Raila won or lost. Even if Raila won, and 4 commissioners came out and said that this decision, we were not consulted, we would have seen Kenya Kwanza do the same thing we are doing. Because how do you settle for?
Is it a reaction? Is it a reaction? Is that what you're putting in that? It's a reaction. Then now we are forced in this audit because somebody somewhere felt aggrieved. But then all of a sudden, you're given that time to prove it in court, isn't it? You're told, yeah, come on. We're not saying no, just come here, table your evidence. What is this that we're going to prove from this audit that we can't prove within those 21 days that were given to go in and file that petition so that the courts could listen to it as a case of emergency?
I feel like 14 days is too little time to gather evidence when it comes to national matters, and especially matters election. You don't, it is very limited time. I mean, 2 weeks to gather evidence, I mean, nationally, and channel it to the Supreme Court to defend your case.
Are you presenting a case of we are not so sure, but we want to prove now? Because Raila Amolo Odinga was very sure. It was like, hey, we won this election and we're going to show you how. Are you saying that if you give us more time with those servers, we're going to show you how the elections were bungled?
Absolutely.
I think
yes, Joy, I'll be coming to you.
Yes.
Shiuka, yes.
Let me get it from this standpoint. And I'm not saying that audit is not needed per se. Audit is good to be done, but let it be done with a neutral body and for a different reason. Not that we are doing the audit to discover, to be in a position to tell you who won the election.
But both sides are presented their teams. The Kenya Kwanza side is going to give us their teams. The Azimio side is going to give us their teams. The Azimio side is led by Amos Wako, former senator.
You know,
yes,
from where I sit,
yes,
and I tell you, it is not about who won the election. Azimio have a history with the presidential candidate. If you look back from the days of Kivuitu, if you look back to the days of Isaac Hassan, Raila Amolo Odinga demanded the whole commission to go home of Isaac Hassan. And this costed the nation a lot of money. The whole commission was disbanded and went home because of Raila Odinga. And he said, we must change this commission and use this process. And what he said, the process was followed that brought on board the IBC. Now, the process he wanted to be done, it was done, that gave birth to the IBC. Now, IBC used the process, the allegation he had raised before during the Isaac's commission. Now, in the last election, the process, there was no dispute. Until when Raila saw the last minute, now the chairman of the IBC is going to declare who won. And they knew that now it was not their candidate. Then they said, we are disputing everything. They disputed. The constitution says that you have to go to court. They went to court with the evidence that they had. The Supreme Court said, no, this evidence does not hold any water. His Excellency Dr. William Ruto won the election. Now, they are demanding for an audit to prove who won the election. And the people who are coming on to be the panelists of the audit are from the Azimio and Kenya Kwanza. We are not going to reach anywhere.
But Shuka, it looks as if it's a neutral body then.
It is not neutral.
Yes. In the sense of both sides are represented in this audit.
You cannot involve politicians in auditing themselves.
Yes.
If it is IBC, let IBC audit themselves.
Is that what it is now? Let IBC audit.
Let audit themselves. That where did we go wrong?
Yes.
In our process of conducting this election,
yes.
What made us fail to get the 100% threshold? Maybe we achieved 80%. What made us not to achieve the 100%? But not the politicians.
To come in and audit.
To come in and audit. I'm telling you, that is a case of shifting the goalposts. When you want to score, then the goalposts are not there.
Yes.
We are not going to reach anywhere.
Pretty much.
I think I tend to agree with my colleague here.
Yes.
On the fact that, an audit done by political parties the representatives is not independent.
Yes.
But also we need to remember
is it neutral?
It's not neutral. But we also need to remember that the Constitution under Article 88 is the one that gives the IBC the mandate to evaluate, to facilitate the evaluation and the monitoring of this election.
Yes.
How do you evaluate an election? You do an audit. And even before you do the audit of the election, pre-election, you have to evaluate. And that's why IBC come and say, we have this budget. It goes to Parliament, and once it's passed, you have your election ready, okay? If you look at Article 88 together with Article 10, that talks on the principles of governance, you understand why we need an audit, okay? And you understand why we need IEBC to be restructured and IEBC to be given the independence for it to choose people who can audit, but not political parties representatives doing the audit. Because that would mean...
Here's a question. I'm sorry to cut you short. Here's a question. That every time we're changing, we're asking for the reforms within IEBC, they're essentially getting pushed by political parties in the country. That every time we've gone through radical changes at IEBC, it's been a movement that is started by a political party, which again goes against the Constitution, isn't it? I mean, the Constitution is clear on what you got to do around IEBC. But every time we're changing IEBC, it's a political movement. The Nadco report that is proposing changes to how we're going to reconstitute IEBC, it's a political movement.
I think at the end of the day, what enables this dialogue, or the push factor for this conversation on IEBC stems from the people. And because these political parties, the membership of these political parties, remember, are these leaders that we have, who are a representation of us directly from the elections that we do. So if I, from Kiambu County, am dissatisfied with the way IEBC looks, I expect my member of parliament to go and sit down, review the Nadco report, and give a verdict on the recommendations that have been given. Still holding into the constitutional mandate of IEBC to evaluate the election that has been done. So my point of view as part of the electorate is to see a progressive IEBC. Restructuring and amendments to the IEBC is not a bad thing, because at the end of the day, no process, no body is perfect. Okay, and through the bottom-up economic transformation agenda that His Excellency the President has pushed forward as his manifesto, part of the things that he wants to improve is the policy and the governance of this country. And that can only be done through such dialogues. So we need to consistently have this talk. Yes, in as much as it may have consumed our resources as a country, it was something that was timely. It was something that we needed. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to go, we got our independence very long ago. We need to stop discussing electoral malpractices and look at the shortfalls and look at the successes. So that it can be used as a yardstick for future leaders in this country.
I think the true faith, thing I'll be coming to you, the true faith of this audit, we do know what it is in Njoroge. I mean, why are we running away from it? We do know what it is. I mean, the government in place didn't even want it. They said, how is it we're going to audit this particular election when we're going to court? The court gives you the powers to ask for any data that you wanted from that election. And within that window, you're given that data that you can come to court and prove that indeed within this audit that we've done of this election that has been done, this is exactly what the pitfalls were. So here we are calling for an audit that we didn't have a problem with. Like, nobody had a problem with the way the general election was conducted. Why are we calling an audit now?
I think
because the IEBC is getting reconstituted in Njoroge.
I think Simba one, remember that even after the elections, the IEBC was, defunct.
Pretty much.
Okay? And at the same time, the government of the day needs to implement its manifestos and its strategies. Number 3, it's already enshrined in our constitution that the IEBC must do this. So in as much as it might look like an azimio issue, remember it's also a constitutional issue that needs to be addressed. And the fact that IEBC is lacking at the moment is even something that is affecting the audit. It's even scary that we are looking at it right now as a political party push or a report push and not a constitutional mandate of the body. And that's why if we build on the independence of this body, if we build on the people's trust on this body, questions of audit, questions of results, questions of 34A, 34B, Kim's kit will be a thing of the past. Because the country will move forward through these recommendations and subsequent audit reports.
Does that?
Yes.
So Njoroge then, but we're coming to Njoroge. So what's the question then? I mean, if the question was on IEBC and the conduct of those dissenting commissioners, which essentially is the one that threw a spanner to the works on the results of the 2020 election, here we are, we've agreed on the framework to reconsider IEBC. Nobody seems to have a problem with that. I mean, that's exactly what's getting discussed in the National House right now. And we do expect that quicker that it's going to change. Why then are we asked for an audit? Why can't we say reconstitute IEBC, empower IEBC to do that particular audit as per the Constitution?
I think, Simba, we first of all, you need to be pragmatic and realistic.
Yes.
The issue of the issue we are having here is a trust issue. We have political parties that do not trust the IEBC.
Yes, but they've said for us to trust you, allow us into the formation of IEBC through the selection panel. Then after that, we'll be fine, and they've been given that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So this is what I'm saying. You cannot say that you allow IEBC to audit themselves, because at the end of the day, the outcome that IEBC is going to present to these coalitions, to these politicians, is not going to be satisfactory at all. Because the issue is the issue of trust issue.
But these political parties have their representatives. Even now, you're asking for 2 more positions, isn't it? And you've been given that in the selection panel. So you would like to think that the people that you get into IEBC now would essentially be also representing your views in IEBC. And that's what you're given through the Nadco report. Let's change the reconstitution panel so that at the end of the day, we also do have representation in the formation of IEBC.
Yeah. The issue of audit, like I said, Simba, arose as a result of the let me say the discrepancy that arose from the commissioners in the previous elections. In the previous election, 2022 election, we saw a team that was dysfunctional, a team that was divided, a team that was not reading from the same page. Anybody in their normal sense would not trust anything that came out of that commission. Because we had Chebukati saying that President William RUTO won the election. We had another team of 4 commissioners coming out to the public domain, making a press briefing saying they were not consulted. They were not part of the decision-making process. And so, that in any normal circumstance would raise questions.
Yes.
You know, I think we need to be honest with ourselves. Because as I told you, Raila Odinga has always, from 1997, disputed election, that his election was stolen. And he has always pushed demands which Kenyans have always accepted. Commission Kivuitu was disbanded because of his push.
Yes.
Isaac Hassan was disbanded and paid a lot of money because of his push.
Yes.
Now IBC, he has pushed. Now IBC is going to be restructured from members, from 7 members to 9 members.
Yes.
Now, you see, to me, I think an audit that is being done for a different reason, for the processes and perfecting the process, to me that one is right. But not an audit that is going to, that the end result should be who won the election. Because that to me was already done by the Supreme Court.
Yes.
When Raila had already disputed the election. So when it comes to the constitution of the IBC, if we are going to allow the political divide to present members to the IBC, then we are not clearing anything.
Yes.
It's just like digging a new hole and filling an old hole.
Does it?
The fact remains you still have a hole, a new hole, but the old hole has already been filled.
Yeah.
So me, I think the IBC should be true to its identity, that independent electoral commission, independent, free from political patronage, that Kenya Kwanza or IBC should not send their representatives in the IBC. That IBC members, commissioners, should be Kenyans, qualified Kenyans of integrity that can midwife an election free and fair. Not that Kenya Kwanza get these members. We are not going to reach anywhere. And that's why this election was almost banning this country. Because the four commissioners my friend is referring to were pro-azimio. They were proposed by the azimio coalition. So in them being on duty, they were defending the interest of the azimio coalition. So going forward as a country, I believe IBC commissioners and restructuring should be done away from the political patronage. Because if we don't do that, then we are not going to solve this issue of people not accepting election year in, year out.
Njoroge, here's what we are asking this morning. I mean, the Constitution is clear on the process of appointing commissioners to the IBC, that in one way or another, the president would propose individuals from particular bodies, starting all the way from LSK to the religious community in the country, all the way to the political parties liaison committee, for vetting and appointment per selection panel. Did we get it wrong? Because all of a sudden, somebody somewhere feels that because you're the appointing authority, you're the picking authority for vetting, it is going to be on a personal basis that I'm giving you a job. So whether we like it or not, if political parties do not feel represented, or the biggest player in this country, like it has been in this country's politics. I mean, we have a lot of parties that go for elections, but at the end of the day, it's always been a two-horse race in this country for a long time now. That the second man in that race, if he feels that he's not represented in that IBC, especially if you're not a sitting president, then you feel aggrieved that I do not have the powers to also get my representation, or for that particular IBC commission to, what would I say, to look at my election the same way they would look at the man who gave you that job. The faith of the Constitution, do we get it wrong on that particular point? Because currently as it is, again, Njoroge, you will hear saying, well, the appointing authority cannot be a player in a match.
Yes. I think the Constitution, we have a very pragmatic Constitution when it comes to these commissioners. And the President doesn't directly appoint. He nominates, these people are vetted, and then they are appointed. And
on that particular one,
yes,
Njoroge, and I'm sorry for cutting you short.
No problem.
That you nominate, they are vetted and appointed. How bulletproof is it? Because that's exactly the problem that the opposition, or the oppositions, should I say, in this country have always had. I said, well, how is it that you can nominate me, and we don't know how nominations in this country go? I mean, once you're nominated, it's in rare occasions that you get into a panel and then you fail to go through that interview, especially for these top positions in this country, starting from PSCS.
I think at the end of the day, you also have to look at the role of the opposition when it comes to this kind of vetting.
Yes.
And if they get it right at that stage, then I see no reason of conflict, because at the end of the day, we know the parliament is transparent in terms of, one, if you have been nominated for appointment to this commissioner seat and you're being vetted, it is something that we see on TV. It's something that is actively there and evidential to us Kenyans that you have been, nominated by the president.
Yes.
Azimio might have an issue, or ODM, or any other party for that matter, might have an issue with your nomination based out of, malpractice, corruption, bribery, or something. It has to stem from the principles of governance.
Yes.
We cannot just say that because this person has been nominated and is going to be vetted, then that process is a whole malfunction of the government, is a whole malfunction of the Constitution. No, the Constitution has created an avenue for you to express your displeasure, even you as an individual, to express your displeasure when it comes to the appointment of these commissioners. So if Azimio feels, or if any other party for that matter feels like a certain person who's been nominated for that seat is not, is not the best fit for that job, then let them show it on the table. They have their parliament, let them use the parliament to discuss these issues.
Yes.
Yes.
And with the way the government is currently constituted, Njoroge, is it not possible to say that If they say it is, it's going to be.
I mean, that's neither here nor there. Because at the end of the day, this is politics. This is politics. But we must respect the Constitution at the end of the day. And we must uphold the Constitution to the core. And that is why, at the end of the day, we have, why don't we have a problem when it comes to the appointment of judges?
Yes.
Because it is something that is clear.
Constitution.
For everyone to see. And it's something that is enshrined in the Constitution.
Yes.
Same to our commissioners. And if they have internal, like now you see in the 2022 elections, it was clear that they had internal disputes. And that is why a part of them decided to go east,
yes,
and the others decided to go west.
Yes.
But the essence of this review by that committee, by the National Dialogue Committee, is to enable the country see where we are right now, evaluate our mistakes. Do you have a problem with the nomination and appointment of commissioners? Let's discuss that. Do you have a problem with the tallying? Let's discuss that. Do you have a problem with the Kim's kit? Let's discuss that. That is what, after the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution, we are coming to. So it is, democratically, it is an improvement, I'd say.
Yes.
Okay? Even the way we are debating on the matters of the commissioner, debating on the need for an audit, it is progress. And that is what the Kenya Kwanza government, through the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, is looking towards.
Yes, sir.
It's not only looking towards addressing the fact that, oh, sorry, Raila didn't win the elections, but it's looking to address these commissioners that we're putting there. Are they credible? Is there an issue with the way they get those jobs? Is there an issue with the, the pronouncements or the announcements of this presidential, governor, senator results?
Yes.
Yes.
Simba. As you also extend on that, there's a question that gentleman was asked to put across to all of you this morning, and I would like you to start with that. Shuke is going to look into it as well. That in the event, because this audit is also looking at a couple of things as well, that in the event that it turns out that indeed the allegations made by the Azimio coalition are true, that indeed this election would have had a different picture, so what, Theo? So what, after this audit?
If indeed Azimio won the elections, if it turns out that Azimio won the elections, which we believe we won, then we give the mantle to the right person. That is what should happen.
Under what framework?
That is what should happen.
Under what framework, though?
Because if somebody won, then they're supposed to be given, that mantle.
And under what framework as it currently is? Well, wouldn't you be stepping out of the Constitution? Is one majority of people asking that the true faith of the Azimio coalition calling for this audit, because they know there's a particular segment right there, or bullet, that said, let's see who won that election based on the audit that we're going to do. That bullet is still in existence.
You see,
so yes, once we do that audit, and we say, well, you won it, but then you want to give it to him under what framework?
You see,
what law states that?
You see, if it means we won the election,
yes,
then it means we went against the Constitution in the first place by giving President William Ruto the mantle to lead this country. Because if we won the election, then how is President William Ruto the president today? Doesn't that mean we went against the Constitution? And by giving the right person who won the election that mantle, wouldn't that be doing justice to the Constitution? Again, my friend Joroge is talking about appointments in regards to principles of governance. That is what should happen. But that is not what is happening. Simba.
How do you make sure that happens?
That is not what is happening.
Yes.
We have politicians who do nomination, not based on merit, but based on who is going to scratch their back when they need them.
Yes.
That is what happens. In theory, that is what should happen. We should appoint people based on the principles of governance. But that is not what is happening in this country, and that is what is messing us as a country. On the issue of IEBC, I want to agree with my good friend on the other side. Sheikh. It would be ideal for us to have a commission that is, independent, out of the hands of politicians, out of the influence of these political parties.
Yes.
But then you ask yourself, who is the major stakeholder to the IEBC? It is these political parties. It is these coalitions. For you to earn their trust, for them to feel satisfied with this decision, you must allow them. You must allow them to present their people. Because if we have, for example, just an example, if we have 10, for example, commissioners, and we have 5 from Azimio, and we have 5 from Kenya Kwanza, then we have a balanced IEBC. There's no single point we are going to have an IEBC whereby people raise issues of trust.
So is that what it is then, Fiongo? Are you presenting a different case that the Nadco report is not presenting? Because the Nadco report doesn't have a problem with the various bodies that are supposed to form the selection panel to give us these IEBC commissioners. No, because IEBC commissioners are supposed to apply. That's a government job, you're supposed to apply. Yes. And then the selection panel then, after you apply, and any other Kenyan, it's an open application process. If you feel like you want to be an IEBC commissioner, you apply. Then the selection panel comes and interviews you. They look at your papers, they look at your credibility, they look at your leadership integrity. That's why we have bodies like the religious community represented. That's why we have LSK represented. That's why we have the political parties liaison committee as well represented, to see and vet these people based on their political ambitions and affiliations. Then present a candidate who is going to be appointed, whom they believe has gone through the entire process. Are you not satisfied with that? That the framework of the Constitution gives us a platform to get the best candidate out of all the Kenyans that are applying to get these jobs. Where does it become a problem? Where we're saying, let's have 5 commissioners from the Kenya Kwanza side and 5 commissioners from the Azimio side. What if the other parties also come in and say, we also need our commissioners?
You know, in every recruitment process, there has to be that process of, people applying and doing all that.
Yes.
But we have politicians in this country who have a hand in what happens, who have an influence, who go against the Constitution, and nothing happens. We have seen our president go against the Constitution in these in matters of housing, and nothing has happened. And that is why year in, year out, you will hear the issues of the IEBC is corrupt, the IEBC is not accountable, the IEBC is being influenced, has been captured by a certain political faction, simply because we do all these processes. We do that recruitment process as required by law. But then someone out there has a hand, is influencing.
Yes.
Yes, that is what happens.
Here is the thing. I want you to start with the same question that I put to Thiongo. That in the event, there's a bullet there as why they're doing this audit. I was looking at it. Number one, really determine who won the 2022 elections. Because that's why Raila Amolo Odinga went to the street. Felt like, well, as much as we're in the courts, we do believe that we won the elections. So in the event, that, well, yes, you won the election, so what? And number two, point us to this direction as well. And Njoroge, I want you to weigh in on that as well. If you look at the way the Nadco report has been positioned, it's like this gentleman now have to speak from the same voice. I mean, there are some things that they want as well as members of parliament. The entrenchment of the CDF, Kitty, the introduction of the oppositional officers as it is currently. So, how are we going to an audit when we are speaking from the same voice? Doesn't that beat the sense? Because you gotta have opposite sides if you're going to do an audit. But here we are doing an audit, but we are coming from the same end. That currently, as it is in Njoroge, funny enough, is that no member of parliament has stood up in the National House and said, I do not want this Nadco report tabled here. That I oppose the Nadco report. Nobody has come up. In fact, all of them are saying, we need to implement it and as fast as we can. So here's an audit that is getting done, but there's no opposite side. like you said, is it a waste of time?
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Simba. As I said, and I'm candidly going to repeat, that if the purpose of the audit is about identifying who won, then it's completely waste of time and waste of taxpayers' money. But if the audit is about identifying the lapses in the process and in the system so that they can better it for the coming election, I am with it 100%.
Why do we want to do that? Why can't we have an IBC? Then tell IBC, as constitutionally mandated, go do that audit. Tell us what we got it wrong. Why do we have to do it?
And that is why I was saying we get it wrong. I supported the Nadco committee's recommendation, even to have an audit. But the audit should not be about who won the election. We have already passed there. The audit should be, the members of the audit should not be political people. They should be people from inside the inside the IBC that they are going to audit themselves. That how was the process that we used? Was it faultless? What happened? What system was the system? Did it fail us? At what percentage did the system fail us? I think that is where we are supposed to focus so that we can better in the next election. But if we say we want to justify, to do an audit, to justify who won, and at what level? At what level? If an MCA is not going to dispute the process, the member of parliament, is all about the president, then I think we are not being honest with ourselves.
Is that what it is? That if you're not complaining about the rest of the elective positions, but you only just concentrated on the top seat, then we're not honest about the process, that it makes sense for us to go into an audit when we are saying it is okay for the rest of them, but not okay for just one elective position.
I think I agree with Mr. Shiuka's sentiments when it comes to this audit issue. First, because when you're doing an audit, we have the objectives of the audit. And part of the things that we expect to be discussed in Parliament is the objectives of this audit that we so propose. Remember, coming from the canvas that it's enshrined under Article 88, and the IBC has been mandated to evaluate elections, then it gives us the definite, proposition that we need to do that audit, and it needs to be done by an independent body. We're not saying IBC will do the audit. We are saying IBC will facilitate that, okay? But the discussions through that audit should not be stemmed on who won or who lost the election. Should be stemmed on where did we have it wrong, okay? To help us go to the next election. We already passed 2022. We went to court, okay? The Supreme Court gave its verdict, said we've met the threshold, said the leader is His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Now, you're dissatisfied with the processes, regardless of the outcome of the Supreme Court. This is what Nadco is about. Nadco is about now addressing those displeasures that comes as shortfalls from that previous election. And I so wish that Parliament will enact the election bill 2023 in a way that looks at elections not as a one-time process, but as a continuous process. Because even after elections, we need more civic education. We need people in the villages to understand why we are trying to transition from the use of paper to a point where now we're going to be fully digitalized, and it is something that is accountable and efficient for all. Because the principles of a fair election is the election must be transparent, it must be accountable, and it must be efficient, okay? And if we are to gain that, these are the things that the report is focusing on. And that is what we want as a country. We don't want to hear, 2 years later down the line, Raila is the president. No, we'll go back to a political turmoil where we already are experiencing so much economic, burden as a country due to the deaths and so on and so forth. Something else for discussion. But are we getting it right when it comes to the analysis of the previous things that we've done? And that is what the government of today is trying to do.
Pretty much. Guess what, gentlemen? Once we come back, there are a lot of things that we're going to talk about in the next section, including, Shiuka is right here, he's going to tell us There are no preparations for the April grassroots elections at UDA. Same thing with ODM. Not so much as well in terms of those grassroots elections. Is there something that is brewing up within these political parties that they don't want to say? Somebody said, you can do it now. You can do it now, especially if you look at ODM, between Joho, Paranya, and the rest of them. If you go to UDA, well, Nyeri leaders have spoken. They feel like the son of the mountain, that is DP Rigathi Gachagua, is kind of getting pushed to the wall. And so right now is not the best time for you to go for those grassroots elections. Once we come back, Clovis Malala is saying, when you sit somewhere and you hear people within a political party fight, not through their fists, but through their mouths, that's how you know that political party is strong. Is it ever true, really? Once we come back right here on The Morning Drift. Good morning.
Buy Credo Chap Chap across all networks bila stress. Go to M-Pesa paybill number 33000 na uweke account number yako na namba ya simu that you want to recharge. It's quick, convenient and hassle-free. In just a few clicks, buy airtime. M-Pesa paybill 33000. Account your number to stay topped up and connected anytime, anywhere. Chap Chap.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed the life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
Are you an SME looking for a media partner? Look no more, as Lookuptv got you covered for all your visibility and marketing needs. We at Lookuptv understand your business needs and want to work with you on your marketing journey, giving you solutions that will take you to the next level. Call us today on 0707 572 358 or send an email to sales@lookuptv.co.ke and kickstart this amazing journey. Welcome to Lookuptv, your official SME media partner.
Once again, tuko hapa Angel Center for Abandoned Kids, all because of you.
My name is Catherine Wanjiru. I am the admin, Angel Center for Abandoned Children. Our founder is Wamaitha Mwangi. We currently have 64 children, 32 going to school, and among those 32, 2 are special children, and we are left at the home with 32. Now the toddlers and the infants. To the RUTO Foundation, thank you so much for remembering us. Guys, we lack words. We lack words. We don't know what to say. Thank you for remembering us. You made a promise and you have delivered. And may God bless you. To my fellow Kenyans, as usual, cheza loto, sio ndoto. Angel Center tumeshinda loto.
Every time you play Lotto, 25% goes to the RUTO Foundation, which supports our fellow Kenyans through various causes. Thank you for your help. Together, we are changing lives.
All right. Welcome back to The Morning Drift. The hashtag is The Morning Drift. My name is Simba Elijah Kiage, still with Mr. Shiuka, Mr. Njoroge, and Mr. Thiong right here, talking about what majority of Kenyans are talking about. Now, we got to tell you this, though. Away from the Nadco report and the Nadco implementations and the 2022 general elections, we are counting to tomorrow. If nothing happens between now and 5 p.m. this evening, then chances are, when you go to hospital tomorrow, you might not get healthcare services in a public hospital. And in one way or another, probably in a private hospital, because doctors have said they're going to go out in solidarity to support their interns who make 30% of the Kenyan workforce but are never paid. So they're demanding 142 billion from their government to make sure that those who are giving you these services, we're talking about these medical interns, are paid. CS Nyakumincha says there is no money. There was a stalemate last week. Is it going to be the same thing today? And are the doctors going to stay true to their threat? We watch. On the sidelines of that, Sheila, if you can then take us back to the Standard this morning. There's a particular story there that we have to look at. On page 7, we're going to see how leaders are shuddering at the thought of party elections. There's a picture that right there of Raila Amolo Odinga. Then you would think this is an issue within the Azimio coalition or the ODM party. It's the same issue as well that is now brewing up in the UDA party. The thought of the April elections is not something that they want to talk about. Good. Mr. Shiuka, guess what? Tell us, why are you shuddering at the thought of grassroots party elections? Let me start with you, dear.
I think in the UDA party, we are always guided by the party leader, who is His Excellency Dr. William Samuel RUTO. And I think when we had a delegates conference, delegates agreed for us to have an election. And later on, it was postponed due to some issues also within the party. So we are waiting for the date of the election, and the members of the UDA party are ready to have that election.
You postponed it from December.
Yeah, holding up a grassroots election. UDA is a mass movement. It's a party that is all over the country. So maybe logistical problems or challenges like that. If you find that you have to fine-tune something, then you have to postpone. Because nobody's pushing us.
Yes.
It is our own decision for us to have the election. So we are not under any timelines.
Yes.
Timelines and targets. No, we want to make our party strong. So we want to have this election at the most opportune time.
Maybe I should have started like this.
Yes.
Clopas Malala says there's a lot of talk about the party elections, the grassroots elections. And he says that if you hear a lot of people complain and talk within the party about positions and how we're running this party, that's how you know that we're a very strong party. The DP says people don't talk about other small parties, they only talk about the big party, so you're bound to hear noise about a big party like UDA. That's what they say. Are those two gentlemen being honest? Is there some heat within the party?
There's no heat within the party. There's no heat within the party. What I can tell you is the UDA.
They're not listening. You can talk.
Yes.
They're not listening.
Yeah. UDA, the foundation of UDA,
yes,
it comes from the hustler narrative.
That's it.
UDA is a mass movement that is the strongest party in East and Central Africa.
The faith of the party leader is this, and I will tell you.
Yes.
He said, let's have one strong party. Let's have one strong party.
Yes.
Clopas Malala became under fire when he was going around the country,
yes,
trying to preach that gospel. Yeah, collapse your parties and let's form one strong party in the country. Number one. Number two, there's a contentious issue right there that you have in your constitution 2 deputy party leaders. Well, some people have read fault play in it. They're saying that, well, that gives the president the leeway to say, I will choose either one of. That's where the heat comes from. Like, you have 2 issues that you're looking at that you can't seem to go through. You can't seem to go through that. Let's start with the first issue. Collapsing other parties within that coalition and coming up with one strong party. They're saying, let's paint the country yellow.
Thank you so much for this question, Mr. Simba. But this question is too heavy for me to answer. But I'll attempt to answer it.
What's your position? Do you want to paint the country yellow?
My position is this. That the main objective of any political party is to acquire power.
Does that?
You get me? And if a party realizes that I need other partners for me to assume the power, then it's okay. So at this moment, we have a coalition. We have a Kenya Kwanza coalition. A coalition that was spent by 3 parties: UDA, Ford Kenya, and ANC. Those are the main 3 parties that bent on the azimio coalition. Then the Kenya Kwanza coalition. Then this coalition of 3 parties invited other parties later on in the coalition. And Honorable Secretary General Cleophas Malala has got all the right to demand for the other parties to dissolve so that they can come and form one party. As the Secretary General, because the work and the duties of a Secretary General is to make sure that his party is the strongest and most vibrant. So, for Cleophas Malala, the Secretary General of UDA, to say that other parties collapse and form one, he has got every right, because that is his duty
as an SG.
As an SG.
But is it tenable? Is it tenable?
Now, the second question is, his mandate reaches there. When it comes to folding the parties, that is now the mandate of the principles of the Kenya Kwanza. The president and the other 2 principles. That is now in their mandate to decide now, we can now collapse other parties into one going forward. But I think that is a decision they'll have to make at their own. As members, we have confidence in the leadership of our principles, Kenya Kwanza. Whichever decision they'll make, we shall support it.
On that particular, I'm going to ask you that. I mean, when you look at these other principles on it that have a strong parties that are under that coalition, do you ever think that at one point, and I don't know who's leading the ANC party currently as it is, to tell ANC, a party that has been in this country for a long time, to finally completely dissolve? Is that what the leadership can't seem to get past? That if you try to do that right now, it's going to be difficult.
You know, politics is dynamic. Politics is dynamic. And if I can give you an example of Barack Obama. When Obama was running for the presidency the first time, he came with a clarion that yes, we can. To whip the people to support him because he had a dream. You see, when he was going for his second election, he did not say, yes, we can. He told American people, this election is not about me, but about you. So, nothing is going to stop the Kenya Kwanza coalition from coming up with another outfit for this election. If the principals think that collapsing the parties into one will make the coalition win this election going forward, then there's no problem.
Yes.
Because it is useless. Because the main objective of any party or a coalition is to assume power.
Guess what, Njoroge? This is what Shuka is going to come to the second question as well of the two deputy party leaders. That currently as it is, if you look at the difference within in the 2022 general elections, it was marginal, 200,000 votes thereof. That if you tell those principals now, the big principals within that particular party, to dissolve their party, some of them are way older than UDA, and you tell them, well, collapse your parties and we form one strong party called UDA, you're essentially asking them to leave. That's what they can't go past. Like, they can't go past that. So every time they approach a party election, they say, well, let's postpone it. Or they judge what is going on the ground, and then they say, well, that environment is not fit for us to go for a party election. Is that what it is?
I tend to agree with you partly because from this situation, you can see the political jitters in all these parties.
Yes.
Especially UDA. And using the phrase kitawaramba, because
maybe you should address, maybe as you continue, well, when you hear a lot of noise within the party, is that a stable political party?
I mean, it's not the voice that matters. It is those small factions inside the party that really speak volumes about what the party is doing.
Yeah.
And I agree with Mr. Shiuka that UDA is trying as much as possible, to form a very strong party. But through this process, it is clear we are seeing politics in play, politics 101, because on one side, you have the National Elections Board of the party.
Yes.
It has to be seen like it's doing its work. It has to be seen like it's following the constitution of the party. On the other side, you have a Secretary General who is looking to propel the party to greater heights in preparation for subsequent elections. And this part and parcel means attracting other parties into your main party. And that is why these things keep on being postponed day in. We don't even know whether it will happen in April. Yes, they've said it will happen in April, but how sure are we? How sure are we whether the targeted, the targeted audience for UDA has been captured as is?
Yes.
How are we sure that
if there are no preparations right now for an event that's happening in April, is it okay for us to say, well, it's not going to happen?
You see, at the end of the day, those are internal matters that directly speak volumes about the political party and its management.
Yeah, Shuka, is right here. are you mobilizing your members for the party primaries in April? If you're not started now, Shuka, you can't say that we're going to start next month.
Let me tell you, the members of UDA are ready to go for an election as from today.
So why are you not doing it? You should have done it in December.
They are very ready.
You should have done it in December.
But what I'm saying is, the party leadership, has to give us guidance on when is the most opportune time. So that is the only thing we are waiting for. If they say even it's tomorrow, we shall have to do it. We are ready for the election. And when you see a lot of heat in the political parties, that shows you that that political party is very vibrant.
The next few days to months will be an interesting landscape, especially in the politics of Kenya.
Yes.
And I think very many parties should borrow a leaf from what is about to happen. I cannot predict the outcome of this process, but I can only wish that these parties, carry out transparent elections, carry out elections that, will reflect on what they want as a party in subsequent elections. Because in as much as there might be politics here to pick and isolate parties, to merge with the larger party or the ruling party of the day, we know the outcome of this process. And we as the electorate only hope that the president and the ruling party and other parties will carry out transparent elections.
Yes.
The political temperatures won't be as high, and that whoever is voted in as the party leadership will do a good job for the parties in promoting democracy.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We're going to speak about azimio shortly, but Cleophas Malala says once you hear noise within the party, that's how you know things are good within the political party. Is it ever true that once you hear this noise within a party, then things are going on as they should?
I want to begin by strongly debunking what Sheikh has said, that UDA is the biggest movement in East and Central Africa. That is a big lie. UDA and Kenya Kwanza was.
Yes.
We should underline that. It was.
Yes.
But not anymore. The clouds have gathered. And if you go down to the grassroots level, if you go down to the common mwananchi, if you go down to that boda guy, that mama mboga person, nobody's even confident saying that they voted Kenya Kwanza.
Yes.
Yes. Out of 10 Kenya Kwanza voters, 8 of them deny strongly that they voted for Kenya Kwanza. So that is a lie. Secondly, there is no way in this earth until Jesus comes that we're going to have ANC breaking, Ford Kenya breaking, and joining with UDA to become one political party.
That
can never happen.
Is that what they can't foresee?
Yes, and you see, there's a limit to how far they can stretch. And they know that very well. Because Kenya Kwanza knows very well, you lose Musalia Mudavadi, you lose Moses Wetangula, then you're gonna have some problem.
Yes.
And so I don't foresee a situation whereby we are going to see a merger between those coalitions, because it happened once. We have a history of very big political parties merging, and it's always about removing influence from some people, or deducting some influence from some people, and giving one person the more power.
Yes.
To convince people in the political party.
Yes.
And that is not going to happen.
Doesn't
it? It is not happening.
Pretty much. Sheikh, I'm coming to ODM because the ODM now even gets worse as it is, as we currently know it. We're going to talk about that. Here's the thing. Prior to this knowledge that we have, by the way, we contacted a couple of guys who are working on grassroots at UD who are telling us, well, there are no preparations that are ongoing. I mean, because we've not been given a green light to start those preparations. The only thing that we were given last year, December, is postpone. We can hold it now. In between that, there's one man who's kept on coming up and who's kept on coming up in the conversations for the party leadership within UDA. Cleophas Malala, Ndini Nyoro, and one, Rigathi Gachagua. Cleophas Malala has been preaching this gospel of we need to have one strong political party. But Ndini Nyoro, some section of members of parliament have come in to say, well, this is what we support as our DP in 2027, and they're quite clear on it. Rigathi Gachagua stands in and says, "Huyo mtoto nyamaze." The president comes in and says, we thought, educating young people about politics, but this is sort of respect, without mentioning names. All of them are not mentioned names, but we do know who they're talking to. But then, Shuka, you can't sit here and say that is good noise.
In fact, that is the best noise.
Oh, come on.
That's the best noise from a political party. That tells you.
What's that?
This is the best.
The noise that makes the president say, well, we thought it was a good thing to mentor them. So if they continue, we're going to stop.
Yes. That's the best thing.
Something negative.
Because you see, let me tell you.
Yes.
Even myself.
Yes.
I'm a politician.
Yes.
If I'm not ambitious to go for the ultimate prize, then I've got no business being in politics.
Shuka, because you're ambitious because all of a sudden you think this particular space you're supposed to go for.
Yes.
Yeah, but then you're going for it, knowing very well that I'm not supposed to go for it, really as it is. I'm going to destabilize the party.
People are saying what they're saying about Ndini Nyoro.
Yes.
But me, I say, Ndini Nyoro is a politician. So if people are saying, and he's not saying what people are saying,
yes,
then is something, is an item.
When a section of members of parliament within the party come out and say, actually 15 is not a small number, it's a big number. And those are the ones who came out to say, it's him. Is that not a divide already?
It's not a divide. That shows you that, in every political party, there is always succession politics within the party. And there's no politician in a political party that sits pretty and say, I'm comfortable where I am. Mm-hmm. So every politician, and that's a right to any member, to say, no, I must pursue my interest through this line. So those members of parliament from Mount Kenya region who said we support Ndini Nyoro have got all the democratic right to say so. And by them saying so, they did not say that they are not supporting the deputy president. We shall cross the bridge of who will be the flag bearer after His Excellency the President when we reach there.
Shuka, but are you not cognizant of the fact that Mount Kenya governors have come in to defend DP Rigathi Gachagua? You're defending a man. What trouble is he under within the party? Because you can only defend somebody who's in trouble. What trouble is he under? When you come in and say, we stand with DP Rigathi Gachagua, we don't like what's going on within the party, we stand with him. Stand with him against what? Shiyuka. Against what? Stand with him against what?
Politics is all about perception.
Is it perception, Bradley?
Just how about perception?
But Shiuka, it's only perception if nobody's speaking against it. The president has spoken against it. The DP himself has spoken against it.
But let me tell you, Mr. Simba, these are politicians. What do you expect them to do? To boil eggs and walk with them in the streets?
That's it, but they're politicians within the party. Within talking about a party issue.
Yes.
Which is right.
That shows that UTR party is the most democratic party that can accept divergent views, irrespective of who you are. I'll have to give my opinion.
Is that democracy?
That's democracy.
Yeah.
In that democracy.
Yes.
It's not party democracy.
Yes.
So,
but is that not a division? Is that not what the heat is now? Because here's the thing. If you're saying it's politics, Shiuka,
yes,
we do know how it is. So right now you announce that there are going to be party elections. What happens is that people will start lobbying. Ndidinyoro will start lobbying. Rigathi Gachagua will start lobbying, isn't it? And then when that outcome is essentially out, if Rigathi Gachagua doesn't get it, what's going to happen?
We don't anticipate that because the deputy president is in a constitution of the UDA is the deputy party leader.
That's it.
So those two positions they might not be contested because really they have the president and the deputy president.
That's it.
And the main objective of a political party is to get power. So you cannot remove a president or deputy president from a position of leadership just because you want to. It's democracy. But any other positions, anybody will have to go for them. When we reach to a point whereby now maybe after the president, you want his successor, that we are not yet there. But that does not stop anybody from preparing. A politician is ambitious. So if the talks have started, let them go. And that's the best thing that can happen for a political party.
Yes.
A political party that is dormant, then that political party is dead. And let me tell you, even in ODM, at this moment.
Yes, in fact, we're going to come to ODM.
Yes.
We'll let you go in on ODM. Because Theo was right. I would like to see exactly what you say about ODM. Let's have a look at it. That currently as it is, members of parliament have already taken a side. And they're coming out strongly to the media. And saying 15 members of parliament have already said that when it comes to 2027, they think that the second party leader, deputy is going to be Ndidinyoro. That's what they're saying. And they're going to give him support in the upcoming grassroots elections. And then the president and the DP speak against that. In fact, I'm almost quoting him. He said, well, we thought mentoring these young people would be a good thing, but if they continue like this, then we're going to stop. That is what the president said. Isn't it? So they're speaking on something that is happening within the party. Is that what they're reading and then saying? If you call for those elections right now, these young people that we're mentoring here, I think we have over-mentored them. They're going to topple us.
I think, as I've said, most of these issues that we're talking about are internal issues that we are not privy to as an electorate.
You can't say that, Njoroge. They've come out already.
But
yes,
I want to state that one, the emergence of Ndidinyoro as a suitable candidate for this position has clearly caused jitters in the UDA party, and that is why such comments are coming out very loudly. But we have to give it, we have to give credit where it's due. And when you look at democracy, governance, vis-a-vis political parties, this is what creates the flesh of a political party. When they come from this sort of setback, because they were supposed to have their elections last year in December, they didn't have them. How are they going to solve this issue? We'll see the unity of the party. We'll see the respect the party leader has. We'll see the respect all these people who are standing up to get these positions have for the party itself. And that is why, for me, I believe that the emergence of various people, competing for this deputy party leader post is good for democracy, because it shows at the end of the day, even the young people are standing now and they're looking at it and saying, this is not only reserved for the deputy president, the current seat in deputy president. They can also look at us and, give us that opportunity. Because at the end of the day, political parties are made of people. They're not made of, just defunct organizations or parties that are going to fold in. These are still people at the end of the day.
Yes.
And if they have political interests will continue rising depending on the rank of where you are or where you've been categorized in your political party.
Yes.
So for me, it's a conversation that is positive, but it's also a conversation that is a bit, when you look at it from the lens of a common wananchi, you tend to think that there's a discord in the party. And that's why I'm saying the outcome of this process and the subsequent elections will be something that many parties should borrow a leaf from.
I like when Njoroge just conservatively says, well, there's internal issues, but the other outlook from outside is that, well, there's something happening within the party. This hit, the president is spoken against it. DP Rigathi Gachagua is spoken against it, and he's made a couple of statements around this particular issue. Comes up and says, I'm not interested in being a kingpin for the Mount Kenya region. Then another platform, he says, well, vijana waambie watulie. Sisi ndio tunashikilia ushukani. So when you look at that particular issue, then you can see exactly what it is. For any other person who's reading this particular issue, who say, tunangoja tuone vile kutaenda.
Simba, we need to call a spade a spade. And we need to say it as it is. We need not to sugarcoat things. I think we saw it coming.
Yes.
It was to dawn like this, the way it has dawned on UDA. Yes. It was supposed to happen like this. Because if you look at the elections in 2022,
yes,
the people in Mount Kenya voted for William Ruto. Not because of Rigathi Gachagua. They voted for William Ruto because they felt that they owed William Ruto because of supporting President Uhuru Kenyatta for 2 terms.
Does it?
And therefore, there's no significant impact that Rigathi Gachagua brought other than being a figure of Mount Kenya, to tell the people of Mount Kenya, you know what, we have your person here, just to solidify the support for William Ruto. But then we have Rigathi Gachagua as the deputy president. And we have seen numerous instances whereby Rigathi Gachagua has proven that he cannot be a kingpin. We have seen him make statements that are not supposed to be made by political leaders who are leading this country, a whole nation. We have had issues of shareholders, which is a statement that should not be, mentioned by a leader who's leading the entire country. And therefore, people are realizing that this is not a man that should be the next kingpin, should be the next flag bearer for UDA. And when there's a gap, people bridge a gap. That is why we have Ndindi Nyoro bridging that gap. Because a lot of people in Mount Kenya, and not only in Mount Kenya, but even across the country, identify with Ndindi Nyoro as a candidate. In fact, they identify with Ndindi Nyoro not only as a suitable MP or as a good MP or as a preferable governor, but as a president. People are telling Ndindi Nyoro, you know what, you are the next big thing. But then, Kenya Kwanza is here defending Rigathi Gachagua, saying that there's nothing happening. There is a very big problem in the Kenya Kwanza.
That's it.
And that is across the country. Not only in their political party.
There is a problem in Kenya Kwanza.
There is a
problem in ODM.
There is a
problem in ODM.
We're going to come back to that. We're going to compare this problem. Which ones are more problem?
We are going to compare. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Pretty much. Guess what, Chiyuka?
Yes.
Then let's jump into ODM as well, because they're in the same situation, or even in a precarious situation than the UDA side is. Because the UDA side, I have no problem with who's going to be the running, who's going to be the top candidate and even running mate. I mean, they do. If they can decide to proceed with status quo. But now, ODM, something brewing up. There's this conviction that Raila Amolo Odinga is going to go for that AU commission chair job. There's this conviction within ODM that Raila Amolo Odinga has already gotten it and is left, despite the couple of hurdles that now we're getting introduced to for that particular seat. Now, what's going on is that 2 factions have come up. There's a Joho faction, there's a Oparanya faction. And all these are gunning for that seat. In fact, Joho, as it is this week, has started campaigning across the country so that he can galvanize that support leading to those grassroots elections. Is it ever okay for them to start looking for a party leader now, Chiyuka? I mean, Odinga is not left, and he's saying it. I'm not left, I'm here. But already you can see sides that are forming around Oparanya and Joho. Is that a problem?
Thank you so much, Mr. Simba, for this question.
Yeah.
I think this moment, I will say, is the Raila moment. And the best moment for Raila in his political career. Because he has an opportunity to midwife his successor when he's not going to lose anything. So to me, Raila is walking a tightrope because he's campaigning for the chairmanship of African Union, which has got its own ethics. And the other presidents who will vote for him are also monitoring his movements. Number two, he has to assure his supporters and leaders that he's still around. So Raila is between a rock and a hard place. He's trying to put on a brave face, but Raila is cornered between AU position and being on the local politics. That space, the vacuum, now being felt is there, has now created a fight in the political of Kenya Kwanza. Not just in Kenya Kwanza as a whole, but one, from the Nyanza region, the person who is going to inherit his shoes. Because Nyanza region have never gone into politics since independence without the name Odinga. So Odinga exiting the local politics, going for the African Union position, tells you that there's a vacuum in the low Nyanza. How are they going to vote to do the politics without Odinga? The death of Odingaism. That is why you see there is a fight between Mbadi and Wandai. In the low Nyanza. And in the ODM party, we have a fight between the two deputy party leaders, Oparanya and Joho.
as well.
And in the bigger coalition, the Kenya Kwanza, the Azimio coalition, we have a fight between the people from ODM and Kalonzo Musyoka, who is going to be the opposition leader. So you see, this Nadco report and the candidature of Raila Odinga at the IU has created a lot of activity in the country. And that tells you what it means in the Azimio coalition corner to do politics without Raila Amolo Odinga. It is not going to be easy for these guys, because some of these guys have always assumed power, not because they are the best, but because they have always hung on the coat of Raila Amolo Odinga.
Is there, just for the sake of this conversation, and Njoroge, allow me jump you and cross over to Thiongo, because I want to give him a right of response. That analysis, is it as accurate as it can get?
Simba, we need to agree that it's not only in ODM where people are elected based on somebody. We have very many leaders. We have very many leaders in Kenya Kwanza who are elected based on wheelbarrow. I told you I was clerk number 1 during the IBC election, and elderly people used to come and tell me, where is Hurubaro? I want to vote Hurubaro, simply because of William Ruto. There's no problem in Azimio. There is no problem.
Are you going to take the same place that Shuka took?
You see, unlike Kenya Kwanza,
yes,
we have no problem with our leaders branding themselves. We have no problem with Kalonzo Musyoka traversing the country to make his party popular. We have no problem with Ali Hassan Joho traversing the country, telling people, you know what, I'd love to be a president. We have no problem with Oparanya doing the same and other key leaders in Azimio.
Yes.
Because we had our party leader, Raila Odinga, saying that when all these parties that form Azimio coalition are strong, then Azimio as a whole is strong. So for us in Azimio, we have told people, you know what, go out there, sell yourself. Tell people, tell Kenyans what you are offering. And when the time is ripe, when 2027 approaches, we are going to have our elections. And democracy is going to apply. And whoever has the majority will be the flag bearer in Azimio.
Yes.
So for us, we have no problem. We are encouraging Kalonzo Musyoka to traverse the country. We are encouraging Ali Hassan Joho and the rest of the party key leaders to traverse the country to make sure that their parties are strong, so that at the end of the day, we are going to have a stronger Azimio.
But you're doing it when Raila Amolo Odinga is still the party leader, is right here. He's not won that particular seat.
But Raila Odinga has no problem. In fact, Raila Odinga has given a green light. Raila Odinga has told these leaders, you know what, go out there and sell yourself.
Yes. Does that introduce a problem to the party, where now you can see, even within the party, there are sides forming up? Joe has picked his funds, Oparanya has picked his funds as well.
What will introduce a problem is when Raila Odinga stands in a podium and announces his successor. That is what is going to create a problem. It is the same way William Ruto will not stand in a podium and say that in 2027 I'm going to have Musalia Mudavadi as my running mate. He cannot do that. You allow people to go there, market themselves, and allow democracy apply. Whoever has the majority is gonna take the place.
Is it painting the picture of a party without direction right now?
Our party is as focused as it has always been. There is no problem in people marketing Azimio. There is no problem.
The Odingaism factor that you alluded to, that all of a sudden now there is the no Odinga factor. How big is that a problem? When you said that the guys who've been elected basically just identifying with the Raila Amolo Odinga.
Odinga is, we're not saying that Odinga is not there as a flag bearer in Azimio, but Odinga is there as an Azimio member.
You know.
Let me cross over. Let me
tell you this.
Yes, can I give Njoroge just 1 second, then after that we'll be coming to you.
I think from Thiongo's comments, you can clearly see there's an issue.
I knew he was going to say that.
And at the end of the day, that is, for me, as an electorate, as I keep on saying, I'm enjoying this because it's politics 101. But true to the fact that Raila's announcement to vie for, the chairmanship, will of course cause jitters in ODM.
Yes.
And you're looking at someone, you're looking at the enigma, followed by his comrades, the likes of Kalonzo, the likes of Joho, Oparanya, and so on and so forth. And by the time ODM as a party is coming down and the flag bearer is announcing that he has actually, opened the floor and he has recognized these two people as the next leadership of the party, it shows you two things. One, it shows you that he's trying to avoid leaving a vacuum, which in political sense might not be what happens. Because as my colleague has mentioned, every election, as we know, ever since I was born, has always included Odinga in the picture. So how will the people, the supporters of ODM, the members of ODM, look at this new, I'd say new party, for lack of a better word, or a restructured party, compare the outcome of Odinga's influence in elections and the other new players to this game? So it's also a point of view that will be interesting for UDA, because they'll also look at the political party like a house that is divided. So it is also an opportunity for them to garner more people into their party, garner more opportunities, and actually, carry out their due diligence.
Yes.
And find out the best way to, leave the other party in disarray.
Yes, sir.
And we know politics, that happens so many times. So it's an interesting political play that I look forward to the outcome, but at the same time, I am not quite sure.
It's gonna play out, isn't it? Pretty much, Shiuka, he's saying it's not necessarily a problem. That just start campaigning openly within the party is drawing contrast that within ODM, nobody's telling the other person not to campaign, like you guys are telling Dini Nyoro, shut up, we are the leaders in this particular party. They're saying, well, over this aside, we are telling everybody, go in, brand yourself, campaign as hard as you can. When it comes to the time of making the decision will be made. That there's no problem currently as it is, according to Thiong'o.
You know, what people don't know is that ODM has never held an election.
True.
It has never held an election.
Yeah. All the way from...
All the way so when it was formed.
We do remember. Mm-hmm.
I was also a member of ODM before. And the only time ODM came close to holding an election, that moment, the moment of the men in black, Raila was going home. Raila was going home. The team of Ababu Namwamba, Hassan Joho, and the rest were taking Raila, Amolo, Odinga home. So when they went at the Kasarani, and the intelligence report came and said, Baba, where unaenda nyumbani? Then he said, no, what are you going to do? Then they had to send goons to come and disrupt the whole process. From that day, ODM has never held any election. Now, you see that what is emerging now, and ODM has been about Raila, Amolo, Odinga. So here is a situation where Raila Amolo Odinga has thought about his legacy. Because one, age is not on his side. So he does not see himself being on the ballot. That is the reality, being on the ballot 2027. Now, he has gone back to read his history. He has tried. The only way he has to leave the stage with pride and respect is for him to go for the IAU Commission chair. That's what is going to define Odingaism at the end of it.
Yes.
Because he knows that if he goes beyond, in active politics, if he goes beyond here, then his legacy is going to be completely destroyed. He'll end up being like a spent cartridge. So what is happening in ODM between Joho and Oparanya? They are trying to fit in his shoes, and as well trying to, because ODM has never held an election, and I can assure you, ODM has got no capacity to hold free, fair, and transparent election because it has never.
Is it true that you've got no capacity?
And that's where we're going to have the big fallout.
Yes.
The big fallout. You want the space.
You cannot overlook the influence that Raila Odinga has. Raila Odinga is a very influential figure in the Azimio coalition.
Yes.
And Shiuka wants to purport that Ababu Namwamba or somebody else there can fit in the shoe of Raila Odinga, or rather would have fitted the shoe of Raila Odinga back then.
They were winning.
That is like the dreaming. That is like the dreaming. Raila Odinga, you cannot overlook the influence that Raila Odinga has. And like I've said, in our Azimio side, as we have no problem.
Yes.
We are comfortable with people campaigning, unlike our good friends in Kenya Kwanza.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
let's put an end to this conversation this morning of the troubles that are brewing within these political parties. The final question that I'm going to ask you, I think, as Raila Amolo Odinga made a mistake, that upon assuming that position for, or campaigns for that position for AU Commission Chair, he should have come out and said, I feel in my capacity as we look forward to those elections, so and so is going to take up the mantle for ODM when I'm away.
I think I tend to agree with what he's done in the sense of leaving two players and leaving the decision to the people. It shows his democratic nature. Because if he was for the opinion that he's only chosen person X,
yes,
you know, once he leaves for the AU, which we don't know whether he'll take actually.
Yes.
We are just wishing him all the best.
That's
but giving the opportunity to two people
Yes.
is better than declaring the interest on one particular person.
Mhm.
Because even other people in the political party will tend to wonder then, why is the political, you know, or the enigma deciding on one person?
That's it.
Yet all these people have a stake in the political party. Interesting scenes to see for sure, but at the end of the day, we just want to see multi-partyism
Yes.
grow in this country.
Does it?
And the outcomes of the party elections in UDA, in ODM,
Yes.
should part and parcel be a reflection of what Kenyans need.
Yes.
And what Kenyans want for the future.
Pretty much. I'm going to read for you a comment here from one of our viewers. Now I want you to listen to this. His name is Ken. Now Ken is saying this, that after months of postponing its destiny at the ballot box to elect its new officials, UDA is now experiencing same jitters that have seen all the political parties shy away from party polls. Continues to say, I do not think they are going to conduct those polls. Status quo would remain into 2027.
I don't think so. But as a party, we are always guided by the party leader
Yes.
and the party constitution.
That's it.
So when the party leader and the secretary decide that we need to have an election,
Yes.
members of the UDA party, as I told you, on the ground, people are ready to do an election.
Yes.
And I'm talking from a point of knowledge. I was among those people who sold the hustle narrative around across the country.
Mhm.
And I know that UDA party is the strongest party, and members of UDA are ready to do an election as guided by the party leader.
Mhm.
So we are ready even to do an election tomorrow.
Yes.
If the party leader and the party leadership decides like so, we have got no problem at all.
Yes, sir.
We have got the systems. We have got the systems who are there up to the polling station.
Doesn't.
So we are just waiting for us to legitimize
Yes.
the process.
Pretty much.
Otherwise, UDA party, there is no problem.
Mhm.
There is no tough wars between His Excellency the Deputy President,
Yes.
Rigathi Gachagua, and Ndindi Nyoro. These are politicians who are doing their work.
Pretty much. All right, just gentlemen, as we get ready to step out of the studio, I gotta ask you for your sentiments on other big issues in the country that majority of Kenyans are now waking up to. Theo, I would like you to take a look at this particular story that we covered also on our website on www.lookuptv.co.ke. It's talking about a looming health crisis, and with pending health workers' strike, it can only get worse for the country's attempt to provide universal health care. That at the time when we're telling Kenyans that start your contributions, shift is going to come into effect as from July. Doctors are saying we are not going to work. Should the government look into this issue more deeper than it is? Because the latest announcement from Health CS Nyakumincha is there is no money. We can't give you a solution right now. Is actually calling for the doctors out of their goodwill to go back to work as opposed to going on strike tomorrow.
Simba, it is very unfortunate to hear such statements coming from government. It is very unfortunate to see the government taking the healthcare system as a joke. You know, there are certain sectors that this country or the government should take very seriously. One is the health sector, education sector. You cannot play with very serious issues in this country. I mean, we are having people dying in hospitals, or rather we'll have people dying in hospitals as a result of the health strike by the doctors. And you hear a whole CS coming out and telling Kenyans that we don't have money. Yet we are here bulldozing the housing levy. We are forcing the housing levy to Kenyans, while telling the most critical people in this republic that there is no money and you can do whatever you want to do. It is unfortunate, and it is self-defeating as a nation.
Pretty much. Njoroge, as from tomorrow, the fate of the healthcare in this country hangs in the balance. Currently, there is no money, and the doctors are saying, okay, we're going to lock it down.
It's a very emotive issue to experience patients, sick patients, and people in Kenya who cannot be able to afford even basic health care, which is part of their rights. Considering in a transition in terms of, we had the National Health Insurance Fund, now we're moving to the SHIF, and the looming crisis also of these unemployed doctors for their internship, the 1 year internships that they do, is a conversation that I think we have often seen it, and even we have often seen doctors going on the streets, petitioning the government to implement their CBAs. And perhaps what the government could do, it's not a silver bullet to the issue, but streamlining the SHIF to the needs of the communities. Considering health is a devolved function, it would be prudent for also county governments to review their budget allocations, review their policies when it comes to health matters, so that it can have a positive impact to everyone in Kenya. Not only those who can afford to go to the best hospitals or send or go abroad, but also to the common mwananchi, the mama mboga who's there who cannot afford to, get these medical services. Because if we are looking at universal health care from the perspective of, its implementation to all, we would not be doing justice as a country if, the year 2024, we are still seeing doctors who are qualified, on the streets requesting to be employed. Okay, so it's a conversation that perhaps cannot be solved through one sitting, and cannot be solved in isolation with the national government. It's a conversation that needs to have all the stakeholders on board. And it's sad that the doctors have to, adamantly request for their dignity, request for their, compensation and for their employment. Yet the government is actively focusing on other things that will part and parcel consume the resources that could have been ideally used for this project.
Shiuka, it's tomorrow if the government doesn't do anything as of 5 p.m. today.
I think the doctors have a valid reason why they should have their pay for the grievances, but I think they should also understand that government runs on a budget. So if the minister tells them that there is no money, let them have a meeting with them and then agree maybe this can be factored in the coming budget. Because I think what they're asking for is not a stopgap. It's not a stopgap solution, but they want a solution going forward. And a solution going forward can only be effected in the budget. So I think from here to June is not very far away. They should not abandon, you cannot revive life. So you should not want to live better on the blood of a dead person. I think they should, the minister should have a meeting with them and agree on a formula on how their grievances are going to be addressed, factoring in that these grievances are determined by a budget. So I think the minister should also be very, very, very quick, should meet them and have a meeting with them and try to come up with a CBO, with an agreement on how the implementation of the grievances are going to be addressed.
Pretty much.
Because we should not reach where people die because of a stalemate that can be addressed.
Pretty much. Okay, gentlemen, we'll be taking you one minute response from this last issue. Sheila, if you can take us back to the Standard then. They ran this story on how RUTO is walking on a tightrope on the Haiti mission. Now, the U.S. has pledged more than 41 billion shillings for Kenya to deploy officers to the war-torn country, but evacuated its citizens at the same time. Gentlemen, I want to listen to the details that at the time when they're evacuating, they're promising 41 billion shillings to the country, they're evacuating their citizens at the same time. RUTO says it's a service to humanity, but the price could be too high for the police. At a time again when Henry, the Prime, resigned on the basis of that pressure that it was given from the gangs in the country. So also that deal that we signed with the country also hangs in the balance, that on which basis are we honoring that deal? Because the same person that you signed that deal with is essentially out of office. Because the guys who were pushing for him to get out of office just wanted a ground to do elections. Now, with his resignation, there's a ground for elections. So the question becomes, do you still want to send your troops to Haiti at a time when the same person that you signed that deal with is out? So the situation currently as it is can start to take care of itself. That's the understanding that we get from here. Thiongo, should we still send? Because that's still in a balance.
I don't agree with this move of sending policemen to police officers to Haiti, because I mean, look at the situation that is happening in Haiti. We had the prime minister resigning.
Yes.
When we get to a point where we see a head of state resigning, then that communicates how bad the situation is.
Yes.
I mean, we don't want to send our police officers there, and then we, breathing alive and kicking, and then, bringing bodies here. It is not a good thing. I don't support it fully.
Pretty much.
Don't support it fully.
Yes. Njoroge only got terms.
I think
I sign a deal with you because you're in a position of power. You give me the arms of your government, signed on the basis of that, and then you resign. Does it make it null and void now? Does it make that treaty null and void?
At the end of the day, we have to review it from the perspective of what is agreed.
Yes.
And we as the citizens of Kenya are not privy to what was done. But perhaps I think the direction that the government took was instead of having an agreement, have an MOU.
That's it.
And the essence is an MOU is not legally binding. It only prepares an avenue to have the agreement. So considering that the resignation of the Prime Minister, who came as a result of the assassination of the President, happened, then it makes the whole movement of our police officers to Haiti halted. It halts the whole process. Because now even the person you're signing, his capacity as the Prime Minister now has been extinguished. Because now he's actively said that for the goodwill of the country and to avoid political turmoil,
yes,
he resigns. So I think the space that our foreign policy plays as Kenya is to show other nations, including Haiti, that we are united to seeing a democratic and a prosperous Haiti.
Yeah.
And this can only be achieved by Kenya actively participating in the resolutions or in decisions that will enable that country to have credible elections. Because at the end of the day, if nothing is done, even if we send our police there,
yes,
the gangs will continue, the war will be more volatile, and it won't give a good image, because at the end of the day, we are all brothers and sisters in this world. So we need to have the discussion based out of decisions and outcomes of resolution.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Shuka, 45 seconds if you can. Should we still send them?
I think His Excellency the President is well advised. And I think he's in a position to review or maintain the position according to the information he has.
Does it? Pretty much. 41 billion shillings, actually more than 41 billion shillings, a time when we'll be forced to take a step back, halt, before we make the next move, because the Prime Minister essentially stepped off office, therefore allowing a condition, as our international analysts are looking at it, to conduct an election, something that has been in contention in Haiti for quite some time now, because he came into power after the assassination of the president. How is it gonna go? We're gonna wait and see. So we look forward to today. We'll begin with taps on that story for the health docket, where doctors have said they're gonna go out if indeed they do not get their grievances listened to. This morning, we were with Thiongo, Njoroge and Chiuka looking at political situations in the country, all the way from what is going on with that Nadco report, the audit of the 2022 general elections, all the way to the Haiti situation and its links with the country. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I enjoyed talking to you this morning. Take them back online and Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. I am Kiage Simba. I'll see you tomorrow for another session. Goodbye.